Hello and welcome to another Rightly Witterings with me, Michael Jex, the tea drinking author, with a nice hot cup of tea there, but this is only a 5-minute review, so I'm not going to go into that. Today, Malice, Aforethought, which is really, I think, the book that made Francis Iles quite famous. The whole idea behind this is, it's one of those first books where it's told from the perspective of the murderer, so it's not a whodunit, it's a why done it and what happens. And now I really enjoyed the book. The story is excellent. It's darkly humorous, very, very dark indeed. It tells the story about Dr. Bickley, Dr. Edmund Bickley, and, as it's described, his insufferable wife. And he decides he's going to have to do away with her, which is fair enough, especially when he discovers another young lady who is quite appealing in his village. So the whole thing, up until about halfway through, is how he's going to do away with his wife, and then his plans for an excellent future with this young woman. The only trouble is that when he goes to meet the young woman, he's got a bit of a reputation, and her family doesn't really want him there. And then when he goes to chat to her and try to persuade her to run away with him, she says, no, it's not possible. Besides, you're married. And he says, well, and that's the start of all the excitement, which is about halfway through the book. It is really superbly written. Francis Iles, I think, is the pen name of, yes, Anthony Berkeley, who was one of the, Anthony Berkeley Cox, ABC, who was one of the founder members of the Detection Club. He was really the prime mover behind it. And he's an interesting character in his own right. If you're interested in the history of crime writing in the Golden Age, from the 30s through to the 50s, then I can't recommend highly enough The Golden Age of Murder by Martin Edwards. In fact, I think that will have to be the subject of my next 5-minute review, because it is such a good book. That goes through all the different characters. Anthony Berkeley Cox occurs in that quite a lot, at the same time as Agatha Christie, Dorothy L. Sayers and all the others. They were a strange group of people, and Berkeley was possibly one of the strangest, although it's hard to say that when you then look at Dorothy L. Sayers' history, Agatha Christie's history, and all of the others. They were a pretty peculiar lot. They all had their own little secrets. This, I think, is just a superb read. Now, the other thing I've got to say about it, just going beyond the ordinary, but look at this little book. It's a hardback, beautifully presented with an embossed cover. I don't know if you can see that very well. It is bound very pleasantly with a bookmark that comes in it. It has golden covering on the pages. Now this is, I think, it's a Macmillan Collector's Library book. And this edition was 2019. I'm just trying to see where it was. End paper, design, typeset, printed and bound in China. Well, there's a surprise. But this is just a gorgeous little package. And it's the sort of book that I would love to have many more of Francis Iles or Anthony Berkeley Cox's books in this format, because they'd fit into some of my smaller little shelves here, which would be nice. Of course, I haven't seen any other books like this. I bought this in Dartmouth when I was on a Smithsonian Tours trip some time ago. I run Smithsonian Tours for the Smithsonian every October, September time. And we always go down to Dartmouth, and the local bookshop had this there. I had to buy it. So I don't know if I'm ever going to find another one, but if you find Malice, Aforethought by Francis Iles, it's well worth a read. And that's that. And if you really do like a good read, obviously I can't recommend highly enough that you pre-order Fields of Glory, which is coming out in only a couple of weeks. So you can pre-order that and make an author feel very happy. Or of course, if you want, you can buy me a coffee, hit the subscribe, hit the like button and all those other good things, and they all make me happy as well. But buying books makes me happier still. So thanks a lot for watching. I hope that was interesting. I'll be back in a week's time with Martin Edwards' The Golden Age of Murder. What fun. Thanks a lot. Take care. Speak to you soon.